What's up guys, Sarah Benjamin here for another video. As usual, I'm here with my good friend Ty. Lately on my channel we've been focusing a lot on escapes. We've looked at some basic side control escapes, 3 different methods that we can utilize in side control. We've looked at some leg drag escapes, 2 of those, a low hip positioning escape, some mount escapes, and today we're going to be focusing on 2 knee on belly escapes. One of them is much more simple and requires a lot less dexterity. The other can be a little bit intimidating, but it's actually not that difficult. So before we get started, I just want to let you know I'm going to be traveling from Boston to Florida December 18th, and I'll be driving. So if anybody wants to have a workshop, a class, seminar, private lesson, just leave a comment. If you're viewing this on Reddit or some Facebook group, just message me on Facebook. Any way that you think you can communicate with me is completely fine. I get a lot of messages to teach classes and to do private lessons, so if it's on the way, I'd love to meet some of you guys, and I'll be coming back up the coast on December 26th. So without further ado, let's get started, guys. So knee on belly. Guys, anytime that my opponent has knee on belly, I actually, for the most part, I never like to sound conceited or speak in absolutes, meaning like I don't like to say this is the best way to do it. This is the only way to do it, because jiu-jitsu is very, it's a sport where there is not a one-size-fits-all application for most techniques. Now, talking about knee on belly, for the most part, I feel very confident that I can escape knee on belly most of the time. Granted, there are definitely times that I can't, right? I'm not a superhuman at all, but it's one of the positions where escaping, I feel like, is not as difficult as some may first assume. So I'm going to show you my 2 escapes that I've been using for years. I use them on a daily basis, and hopefully they can help you. So, let's go. First escape, guys. The first thing I do when somebody's knee on belly is I'm going to put my hand elbow tight to the rib on the knee. Right? I want to stop the knee where it is. I want to push it down. The second thing, and the most important thing, is for my right hand to grab the ankle with a straight arm extension. So look, I don't want my elbow here, because then he can get an underhook or he can start doing things. So I do this. I tuck my elbow. Now look, guys, depending on his body placement, I just need to lift my hip and I need to push his ankle in between my legs. So I lift my hip, and look, I'm going to turn, and my right leg's going to swing underneath like this. Okay? Contrary to popular belief, the way that we keep his ankle is by keeping our heel extremely tight, right? And pinching our knees. Okay? Most of the time, people will get this escape, and then the first thing that happens is, since their elbow wasn't initially tight to their ribs, it was like this, Ty will get an underhook and he will knee cut right back out, right? And then he gets past. So we have to prevent this. So he brings his knee back on my stomach. I need to keep this elbow very tight in anticipation that I'm going to achieve an underhook with it as soon as I escape. Okay, so I have his knee, I'm holding his knee here, and my elbow's very tight. I lift my hip, I push his ankle, and I turn. Okay, now look, right away this hand comes through and underneath. Right, just keep it tucked, like under his hamstring or his butt. I don't go high with my underhook initially. I stay low. Now, assuming he's probably going to knee cut, what I always do is I grab his pants, and then as he goes to knee cut, my left knee bumps, and I start to come up and sweep. So guys, this isn't a half guard explanation video or quarter guard video, but it is imperative for you to know how to bump him. So let's say I get to here. Okay, my elbow was tight. Guys, the way that I bump him is like very similar to a butterfly sweeping motion. Meaning I don't just try to bump him with my knee, because I'm not very strong and it doesn't work. And I think this is the reason I escape knee on belly pretty comfortably. I use my toes, just like as if I was butterfly sweeping, to lift my hip as I bump him. So watch my hip, guys, and I keep his knee here, right? Normally I have the pant and I'm like this. Even if you don't have the pants, if his leg's way out there, that's fine. Look, I'm going to lift my hip and bump. Do you see how my hip's off the ground and I bump him like this? This gives me a really strong position now to turn and come up in a low single leg. So again, guys, what I don't want to do is just lift my hip and just bump him like this, because it's really hard. right? I want to bump him as I use my toes to lift my hip, guys. The elevation of the hip is the most important. Keep your hip heavy. If he keeps his hip heavy and I try to just bump him here, it's really hard. I can get him off balance, but watch. He can try to keep his hip heavy, and I can get up very easily too. Why? So without tie, whenever you butterfly sweep, there's a misconception that you're using the extension of your heel from your butt to sweep somebody. So like this. That's completely wrong. What you do when you butterfly sweep is you load your opponent's weight onto your hip because your hip is very strong, like this. Then you use your toes to lift your hip. As you lift your hip, their body weight shifts, and then you extend at the last second. Similar to this when we're in the quarter guard. Rather than just bumping, because I can only bump so hard, I'm going to lift my hip as I bump him forward. So now my hip is going forward as I bump him, and I have much more power. It's very difficult for somebody to stay there. So again, he's knee on belly, and you guys have to do it quickly, right? It has to be like this. Because if you don't do it quickly, they're just going to pass your guard again. So one more time. I'm here, I get my elbow here tight in anticipation of the underhook. My right hand straightens out, I lift my hip, I trap his ankle, I get this underhook low, and then I lift my hip as I bump. And then I come here. If he's really far forward, we can throw the hook in, we can take his back. So that's escape number one. So guys, our next escape is going to be if he just established knee on belly. This works too when they're just passing, or maybe he's on a higher knee on belly. So let's say he just got to knee on belly. He threw my leg, and now he's here. First thing I do is I like to put my hand on his knee and push it down a little. My right hand is going to underhook his foot this time. Okay? Now all I have to do very quickly is make an extension of my right arm to make space for my right knee to come in. Like this. Just getting my knee here, I'm already homeward bound. You can keep your weight. Once I get my knee here, guys, all I'm going to do is reach this hand across and start to pull. I throw this leg inside. Most of the time, people will just run away. If you want, you can hold your pants and they can't run away. There is a calf crusher here if I start to come up, right, on this leg, where I lift, I start to sit up, and I can get this calf crank. Or, what I always do every time, there's knee bars, there's toe holds, I just lift and get to here. And this is my favorite position for that. I'm not going to do a breakdown on how we do that, but this is one of the ways I retain guard very often, right? He's here, he passes to me on belly, I got to here, here, and look. Guys, if you have the dexterity, bring your foot in on the hip. And this is my body positioning. My right hand's underneath his foot, my right knee is right underneath his butt, my left foot is on his hip. Very, very, very important is for my left hand to reach palm up across, push with your foot, throw this one in, and we get into this position. Yes, there are knee bars. Yes, there are toe holds. Yes, there are heel hooks. Yes, there are calf crushers. But depending on your belt, rank, and all that stuff, your school rules, my favorite thing to do, even with all those options, is typically to lift and get into this position and then attack the back. So one more time. We're here, right, we're playing guard, he's about to pass. Once I get this foot in, guys, I'm homeward bound, palm up, push, throw the leg in. And now I'm in this position. This is one of the strongest guard retention positions in jiu-jitsu, guys. A lot of people use this. I believe Lachlan Giles was setting up a lot of his heel hooks like at the ADCC with this. I'm honestly not quite sure. I know it's something I've been doing for years. I know a lot of flexible guys that retain guard just naturally do this. It's just something that you start to do as people start to pass in that high body postured knee on stomach position. Sometimes they're not even knee on stomach and they're just standing and passing, right? Sometimes you're here and Ty's trying like a Toriando, but he never even comes down. He just Toriandos and he's like this, right? As long as I get here, I'm fine. I just want to get this foot here. So guys, as usual, if you like this content, please like and subscribe. I just found out if you don't hit that little notification bell, you won't be notified when I make a new video. And I do teach in segments, so if you're following along on these segments, it will definitely help you out. If you have any questions on any of the techniques, always feel free to comment or message or whatever it is. I'm always happy to reply. I always try to do my best to reply. I know that the second knee on belly escape we went over today can be a little intimidating, but trust me guys, it's much easier than you think. So, guys, thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you like this content, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. It really helps. Guys.